Welcome everyone on the Orange Couch today. It's my great pleasure to have Jane Reitmeyer. She is the Director of Care Quality for a company called Constance. Jane, such a pleasure. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks. It's nice to be here.
So Jane, one of the things that I really enjoyed about Constance is that you remind me a lot of us as far as you want to earn your stripes with an organization and you're willing to do a case study at a community level. So describe that a little bit about what you're willing to offer for our clients or just our listeners who might be intrigued and want to experiment with this at their own community.
So what we're willing to do is offer a courtesy trial period for up to 3 to 5 residents of a life plan community. This experience would be able to test how things go, give us a test run, and to see if you feel that it's a benefit to your residents, and to the operation from a perspective of we're catching things before they become a tragedy or a crisis. We can deploy staff more surgically, if you will. Mm-hmm. If something's happening in Mr. Smith's apartment, we can alert the social worker or the activities coordinator or the director of nursing and make sure they address what's going on before it becomes a very expensive hospital visit or something that the facility now has to take care of.
Do you have anything, Jane, that is kind of a best reflection of the culture of Constance, a real life resident or person who's aging in place at their home, that their experience is really indicative of what a new client of Constance would experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably multiple examples. We also at Constance have what we call growth mindset. That is a very important component of how we operate as a culture, but also how we treat our members and want them to be. So we had one gentleman who was an early adopter of Constance, and he was quite unhappy where he was living. And we were hearing that every day. And there'd be different problems with the food where he was. He was in a small personal care place up in Pennsylvania. And we really helped him self-advocate. And now he's thriving. He is just enjoying the activities. He's sort of a Renaissance guy. He gardens, he draws, he paints. He sends us some of his drawings. So, I mean, so those are the kinds of things we want to make sure people are in the right place and thriving and doing well.
Jane, for the people that want to inquire more directly or have questions for you or your team, how should they reach you?
So our website is www.constance.one, O-N-E. And our number is 717-500-1386. That's a Google Voice number. I don't know. It'll announce who you are, and then we pick up. Either myself or Morgan Reese, who is a co-founder and director of operations, will be the person you'll be speaking with.
Terrific. And any other things that you'd like to express, Jane? Any what you would consider to be a best practice and why Constance is so valuable because of maybe a core belief that is just something you really believe in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that growth mindset and building meaningful relationships is something that's two core values for Constance. And those tie directly into where we started with researching what's missing, what are the gaps in older adult care, elder care. And so much of it revolved around social isolation and just how damaging that is. No one realized that social isolation sounds so benign, but really it causes physical, mental, cognitive decline. It's a vicious cycle, and it creates an extreme cost in the healthcare system, but also just for the person. It just ends up, they're not living their best life. They're not growing. So there's our growth mindset. So those are our best practices. We really want people to grow and live their, as full a life as possible, regardless of age or location and location. Right now, we're all so separate. We're physically distant, but we don't have to be socially isolated.
Well said. from my personal experience, and if I've spoken with you about this, senior living professionals, you're busy. Your team is busy. It's tough to be able to keep morale up, but you're doing amazing work. But when it comes to bandwidth, if you can't do this, remember that it's so much more expensive to have to replace a bed, replace a resident in your community where there are resources available, even in a trial capacity like what Constance is offering. Please take them up on it. At least inquire more. Your team is terrific, but they're spent and they may not have the ability to touch your residents the way that Constance is able to. So please give it consideration. What a wonderful COVID-19 protocol at the very minimum, but I would imagine this is just the beginning, Jane.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jane, and we look forward to hearing what impact we're able to make together here, and just do more for these socially isolated residents right now.
Yes, yes. Well, thanks so much I really appreciate the time. Thanks, Jonathan.